Hey everybody, this is Brittany here with Surfing Waves of Light, and today I have such a special treat video. This video has been in the making for a couple of days now, and it is absolutely wild. In this video, I will be speaking as myself because I get guidance in all different ways. Sometimes I'm guided through channeling, and other times I get interpretations from reading the Course in Miracles or just moments in life. I get downloads. The other day, my mom's cat was like doing some energy work on my head, and then I had this huge download about the lesson that I had for that day. So I am going to, this video is going to start with reading just the first paragraph of lesson number 108 in the Course in Miracles, to give and to receive are one in truth. And we are going to go down all the quantum timelines, scientific, logical, explaining all the timelines, not even timelines, explaining how quantum physics, the Course in Miracles, the energies of love and fear, how these are all mathematical and where that equation is going. And basically, it's going to be wild. So stick with me. I wrote notes, so I'm going to be reading off my notes. And I just want to thank all my friends that are open to spiritual realm and have conversations with me. And also, just want to say too, before I begin this, is part of the reason I named my business Surfing Waves of Light. It has a quantum meaning. Waves of light I found very important because, well, on a quantum level, waves, light, particles are all connected, and surfing is the adjective of how to ride those waves, how to go through life. And so when you have a good experience surfing, you're taking the energies of life and you're riding them in the best way possible. You're in that perfect moment in life between possibility and already manifested reality. So when the wave curls over, that's the manifested reality. And then when you're riding, in the tube or just above it, that's all possibility. That whole wave line is open for you to create, explore. You can do whatever you want with that wave, but you're in between that state of possibility and what's already been manifested. So I've been getting more and more downloads about that, and I've been meaning to share, but it seems like this is the perfect moment. So strap in, get ready to hear some really awesome ideas from the guides, and please let me know what you think about this video. Leave a comment in the comments below because I'm so excited to hear your reactions to this. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. Lesson number 108 in this beautiful book right here, The Course in Miracles. To give and to receive are one in truth. Vision depends upon today's idea. The light is in it, for it reconciles all seeming opposites. And what is light except the resolution, born of peace, of all your conflicts and mistaken thoughts into one concept which is wholly true? Even that one will disappear because the thought behind it will appear instead to take its place. And now you are at peace forever, for the dream is over then. So from that paragraph, a download I got after my mom's cat gave me cat Reiki was that all the dream on this plane is, on the earth plane, on being in time and space, being in a body, is the idea that anything could ever be wrong. It's the illusion that anything bad or negative or dark could ever happen here, because illusion is not trusting. Illusion is not being one with God, being in God consciousness. So the illusion is when we think anything that is happening in front of us isn't meant to be happening. And that means we're interpreting it wrong because we're coming from a place of fear instead of from a place of love. And even though we are in this crazy sort of video game reality and all sorts of crazy things can happen, really the truth is that not all sorts of crazy things can happen. The only things that can happen to you are the things that you planned for yourself when you were in full consciousness. Right now you're in separated consciousness, when you had access to all the greater things, all the greater knowing, you planned out these events. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what free will means. But so that's the dream. So the dream, the illusion, what we're trying to wake up from is the idea that anything here can be wrong. Because when we perceive a situation as fearful, we tend to do a lot of things, right? To prevent it, to block it. Fear is a powerful motivator for action. A lot of times when people are in peace, they're doing nothing because they understand that when you embody God consciousness, when we embody universe consciousness, our creator knowingness, we trust in everything that's going to happen. We don't try to interfere. We follow our guided inspiration, but we're never moving from that, what we've sort of been trained to move in from fear of, I got to go to work, I got to do this, I got to do that. So we'll just start there. So we're going to touch into quantum physics. So in quantum physics, there's this concept called Schrodinger's cat. And I'm just going to give a little disclaimer. I am not an expert on quantum physics. I've read about quantum physics, and I also have deep intuitive insights about quantum physics. That is where I'm sharing from today. But I really feel like these are right, like, quote unquote, right, that these are aligned with truth, I should say, to be more accurate. So what Schrodinger's cat is, it's this cat in the box where the cat both is alive and dead at the same time. But it's not until you open the box whether you know that the cat is alive or dead. So really, all the cat is representing is possibility, is the quantum particles, which is what this universe is made up of, that are ready to create and manifest based on our focus and direction. So if we think the cat is dead, when we open the box, the cat will be dead if it's in the highest good. And then if we think the cat is alive, then the cat will be alive. And so what it reminds us is that we have, and so does the double slit experiment, that how we observe a situation affects the outcome. So that's what Schrodinger's cat. And this will all tie together in a minute. So then we look at what is time. So on the quantum level, there really is no time and space. There are particles that reflect each other in the universe. One particle spins, the other particle that, this particle's in the USA, this particle's in Germany, this particle spins, and this one spins the opposite way. So there are these quantum entanglements that are outside of time and space. And so what time is, and this is what this lesson in the course helped me to understand, time is just the space. It's the separation of a thought to a consequence. So it's the separation of when we think a thought, especially a fearful one, like if you're in time, you have fearful thoughts in your mind because time only exists because it separates us from instant karma. So in a different reality, when we would think a thought, when we were in higher frequency consciousness, where we are automatic manifestors, which is why Earth can be so frustrating for us beings who are familiar with recently being in energetic states of light, when we think a thought, what happens on Earth or in 3D, 4D, whatever level consciousness, is time separates and space separate you from that thought. So if I think a bad thing, like I'm going to die or my plane is going to crash, what time does is it allows us to stay in the fear. It allows us to believe that illusion of fear. But when time doesn't exist, if I think I'm going to die in a plane crash, what would actually happen instantly in whatever time and space I would die in a plane crash, only to realize that that was never anything to be afraid of in the first place. And so because I would instantly have the experience, I would also instantly know that there was nothing to be afraid of, because death isn't real, because I would be reunited with my whole self, because I would probably learn that my consciousness would leave my body long before any physical trauma has come to it. And knowing that God is love, of course he wouldn't send us to a world that was like full of pain and death unless we wanted it ourselves. So time, when it exists, it just allows for fear. It's the illusion is in time, it's when we think we can be afraid of anything, because it's right. So I'm just going to read to summarize. So when time exists, it's an indicator of fear. Time only exists when we fear something. If instant karma is applied, you would have the experience and know it's not real, but time allows for the illusion that we could be powerless or less than something else, aka not in our universe, God consciousness, right? So when we fear something, we give it power. If we fear the boogeyman, we say, I'm afraid of that thing because it has power over me. Or if we're afraid of dying in a plane crash, we're saying, I'm afraid of planes or flying on planes because I think that my energy, my thoughts, my vibration does not have enough power to create the safety or the physical manifestation of, it does not provide me security that I feel because I'm a God consciousness that I could be okay on a plane. It's always giving power to that thing when that's not real. The only thing a God being can do to be in fear is to give our power away. That's why fear is always most powerful when we don't look at it, because if we ever look at it, we'll realize it's not real, and then it would be impossible for us to give our power to it. And so that's what time is, and then space is just where the illusion plays out. So I get to play out being afraid of something. So time allows for us to be afraid, and then space is where in a body I play out being afraid. I'm afraid of bears, I'm afraid of big waves, I'm afraid of people finding out my deepest, darkest secrets, whatever the fears are. So it's just in between. So if we didn't have any of those illusions, we would be in God consciousness, timelessness. Most people that are in peace, they're just chilling in timelessness, right? Time goes fast and slow. There's no real objective factors that are anchoring it down to true intervals the way that we think it is. So, okay. So that's the first part. There's a few more pages here. So are you with me? Write questions in the comments. I will re-explain if I have to. I don't think I will. You guys are all really smart. And this is all like intuitive, so you should be feeling the energy of it. Okay, so let's talk about waves. So when a wave breaks, it spins, right? You can all picture a barreling wave or a breaking wave. It has that spin from top to bottom. So when you talk about electrons, neutrons, protons, and then even like quantum level, especially on the quantum level, and even at the non-quantum level, we know they spin, right? Well, so in my mind, I always thought they spun like this, like a top. And my friend tonight, Joe, pointed out to me that the spinning is actually like a wave breaking, which is why on the quantum level, like when one spins, the other spins, and it has to do with like, it's actually a wave-like spin. So what electrons, neutrons, protons, all these different quantum particles are doing when they spin, what's actually happening is that everything is just wave patterns interacting with each other. So when I walk into a room and see you, I'm a wave pattern and you're a wave pattern. And then wherever the electrons and neutrons gravitate, form, not really 100% clear on exactly, wherever they combine and they create that interference pattern, that's the resonance, that's the harmony, that's the creation of those wave fields coming together. And so that's actually the point where the wave breaks, where it hits the sandbar. That's all that is. So electrons are actually the peak or the interference pattern. Again, that creation moment, that's what the waves are representing energetically, as well as showing us what's happening on the quantum level that we can't always see because we see with our eyes instead of our inner self, which is another video I need to make about why. It's a Joe Rogan interview I watched about why it's so important to get inner guidance, not from the five senses. I'm just writing that down because that's my next video. Okay, sorry. I get a lot of activations all at once. Okay, so continue reading. So that's where all the different fields are coming into contact. All anything is waveforms coming together to form resonances or interference patterns. This is where the energy breaks or spins like a wave to create the total moment of those energies when 1, 2, 3, 5 fields combine. Okay, so when ocean waves spin, they represent separation and oneness because each wave has an origin as well as a place where it breaks. And on a quantum level, the second something originates, it breaks there. But when time and space are added, it's a representative of time and space, is that when a pulse starts from, like, say, this physical point and plane, but then it doesn't break till over here, that's an example of time and space. Because truly, the second a wave was formed in instant karma, it would break. But that's one of the quantum level representations that the ocean and the waves are trying to show us, is time and space. And breaking, a wave can break anywhere, right? A pulse goes out and it can break in all different places, which is why some places get a lot of waves and why others don't. But it's just breaking wave is just where two moments meet, aka where two energy fields meet. And so that shows a quantum entanglement between those two, like two physical places. Even though they're not physically touching, they're still physically connected. So that's also showing you the quantum field. So the time before a wave breaks, that is Schrodinger's cat, right? That's the moment of creation. That's the moment of potential. So us as the thinker, as the focuser, as the God conscious, which we've established is important, that our observations affect the outcome. What free will, it's two choices. First of all, we have two levels of free will. The first level of free will is the level of free will that where we created this lifetime before we were in the separated mind, when we knew everything. So then we come into the separated mind, and our true free will is deciding to apply a fearful meaning or a loving meaning to any situation. So a fearful meaning, that would typically be a bad interpretation. Oh, I lost my pendant and I need that pendant and it's bad. I was still meant to have this pendant even though I don't anymore. Or a family member died and that's bad because I think I still have more time with that family member, or I'm meant to have more time. Or we can apply a good meaning. I lost that pendant. It's not meant to be mine anymore. That person is no longer with me in physicality. I can trust that it's time for me to get to know them in non-physicality. So what's the difference between these choices, right? So if our free will choice is love and fear, what does that mean on a quantum level? Well, what that means is it just comes down to what are the inherent qualities of love and fear. So the inherent qualities of love on a quantum level, and as the Course says, is love continues to create like itself. So it's endless. It's timeless. It's always creating. It's always bringing more goodness because it's self-sustainable. It's efficient. It runs like this. And that's why good always overcomes evil, because evil would never have enough energy, because we'll talk about what fear, the kind of quantum components of fear. So scientifically and logically, love is a much more powerful creator on the quantum level. And the energies right now are going to be supporting it a lot more too. So there's that factor, but that also has to do with our higher frequency, our oneness consciousness free will, because at this point we've decided to end low frequency timelines, or at least like the oneness has decided that. So, which is why you can trust that every timeline is going to end inevitably in good. And also because of what love is. So the second you start embodying more love, you point your north back to oneness, because that's all love is. That's all oneness is. It's love. So anyway, so scientifically and logically, love is more powerful. So then if we have bad thoughts, we decide to apply fearful thoughts. Well, that requires a lot of focus. And that's why the fear thoughts can be so invasive and intrusive. And we'll talk about the origin of fear thoughts in a minute. But they require a lot of energy, a lot of feeding to manifest, to create with. They're always on your mind. They're invasive, fearful thoughts. And so a lot of times, if you study black magic, what people end up figuring out is that it's just unsustainable, because if you constantly have to focus on it, it doesn't create more energy, because it's not real. So it just doesn't have that force like love, which is real, because it's a mirror on the 3D or 5D plane of God, and God is a creative force of itself. So love and fear, they also represent the creation and consuming dynamic. So creation is love and consumption is fear. And a lot of times you'll find that people that are operating on low level frequency, fearful levels, they need to consume a lot. They need to send negative energy to other people or practice black magic, so to speak, because they are filling a hole, a black hole within themselves, which is ironically a quantum reflection of the origin, source of all things, and God consciousness can be accessed through that black hole, but we'll just leave that there for now because there's a lot of holes that we could go through. Infinite, in fact. So creation tends to feel good. You know, I made this clip in my hair. I felt amazing. I've been feeling amazing ever since I made it. It's given me more ideas. It's given me more inspiration. That's love. Whereas when I'm like eating, I usually eat a lot of food and then I feel bad. Or if I'm like watching a lot of TV, that's consuming. Or if I buy something on Amazon and I really want it, but then I get it and then it kind of loses its sustainability. That's why sometimes I find surfing is so powerful, because after I surf, I like still feel that love, that energy, that care for myself long after I get out of the water. So creation, back to my notes, creation transmutes. It's why people heal through compassion, through energy healing, through art, singing, dancing, surfing, because you're creating more sustainable foundations for yourself when you are in creative modes. And like we said, we know what creation feels like. It continues to bring more and more to us, whereas consumption takes on this level, even though giving and receiving are one in truth, but we'll talk more about that means in another video. So with consumption, you typically get like 1 to 2, maybe 3 dopamine hits. Highs and lows is consumption, whereas creation has a lot more even keel, as love is like that. So, like we said, that consumption can feel like something we really wanted, we get it, and then it loses its flavor. Okay, so quantumly and mathematically, just to reiterate, all negative low-frequency timelines, which the only negative timelines there are the ones where time continues on endlessly because we are still believing that we're not God, because we still are maintaining fearful thoughts, which creates a lower frequency consciousness. We literally can't rise above time and space because we're weighted down to time and space because of these fearful thoughts. So just know that at this point in life, there is no mathematical or quantum timeline where fear could win, because at this point we know love is the answer. And again, as long as you're using your consciousness, we're going to talk more about free will in a second, to embody loving thoughts, to perceive things peacefully and lovingly, inevitably you'll be able to see everything that way, because there is no real like different things on this planet. Everything's really a pattern, and we're going to talk about that more in a second. So a couple more pages. Hope you're bearing with me. Let me know what you think. I'm so curious. This all just came and I'm still processing and downloading a lot of it, but yeah, it just feels so right. Okay, and we'll get to this, why I decided to put this in my hair. Okay, so we understand that all sort of logically, or like in the ether, in the mind space, and a little embodied maybe. So in the meantime, aka the time between when we transmute all our fears, which we inevitably will once we have the lived experience that nothing has power over us, right? Fear really is giving our power away. And just note too, when we hold fearful thoughts in our mind and we don't use creativity or mind training or lived experience to transmute those fears, we actually attract those experiences to us, not because, well, one, because we are creator beings, so we're always attracting the things we focus on, but two, it's actually part of the even higher frequency loving consciousness. We attract these experiences to us so we have the experience, so we can realize the fear was never real. You know, we might like be planning a trip and think, oh, if I go to that country, I'm going to get kidnapped. But then we go to the country and realize it's beautiful and peaceful and the people are so nice, and we could never even like imagine ourselves being kidnapped there. It's really, you can only fear something you don't know. So when we have a fear, we actually attract those situations because we're healing. That's why emotions come up to heal. So again, we heal because once we live through an experience, we realize it's an illusion. our fear of it was an illusion. We were giving our power away to it. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for time to go away, we can use the ocean to discern the day-to-day energies, which the ocean is literally the macrocosm of the microcosm of the worldly vibes that are literally arriving at your shore. So every day is going to present us with different energies, right? Sometimes it feels like the world is just coming at us, you know, full blown, lots of energies, informations. We can have big waves, we can have big waves, which can mean big changes. And we can have calm energies, which can be just times when things are going smooth and easy. And if we recognize the patterns of life, which the ocean is like patterns, yeah, the swells are a little different, but there's a certain level of pattern recognition you'll get with the ocean when you watch it enough. An experience I got to have as a lifeguard, I watched the ocean for literally months like over many years, and I just watched it repeat itself. Big waves, small waves, it just has a pattern to it, because that's all the world is. It's just different forms of us being afraid of things, and it's really not even that creative at all. Because so you might wonder, like, why do all these bad things happen to me? Or like, oh, if love, it's just not so easy to think love, embody love, and have the loving experiences returned to us. Well, that's because the foundation of this world is actually built by our unconscious fear that we separated from God, and God is mad at us and is going to punish us. So when we decided to separate from God to see what that would be like, when we got separated, it was a total shock. We had never not been surrounded by love and warmth and held and compassion and all these things that weren't even words, because really love, oneness, is just an experience. So we actually, when we got jolted out of that, we were so afraid that God was going to be mad at us for separating, that we created this world. And this is the fear, this is the energy that we're really maintaining. So a lot of the things that happen in our world, especially before we become conscious of love and that we need to bring peace to the world and that we have to bring love to every situation, we're creating from that unconscious place of that deep guilt, that deep fear. And we keep feeling fear because it actually makes us feel safe. And we're afraid, if we believed in love, or if we allowed love in, that God would punish us. And that's kind of how the Catholic Church functions, with why they let us know that guilt is good, or they kind of equate guilt and suffering with you going to heaven. They're actually playing on that distortion that we don't really know about, that we're in unconscious guilt because we separated from God. Most people don't know that that's the state of our consciousness. That's the wave state we're in right now. So they play on that, which feels real. So there's a part of us that are like, yeah, it kind of does make sense to suffer, but it's actually the distortion of that we just want it, that we feel suffering because we separated from God, and we feel that underlying anxiety, that underlying guilt. So that's where all our life is created from before we become conscious. And so once we become conscious, our free will is really, we just want to get out of time and space, and we do that by applying loving meanings to every single thing that ever did happen, ever will happen, and currently is happening. And just know too, because God, universe, does not care that we decided to separate. It loves us, and it wants us to create whatever we want. That's what love is, even creating bad things, or creating us creating the ability to even feel this way, which is why so many feelings here feel so terrible. So we're trying to be super kind and drill. And so universe, God, is trying to be really kind and not scare us, because it already knows how afraid we are. It's like we're like a dog in a cage, and we're just freaked out. We don't want to, don't touch me. We're totally on edge. And so think of guides, ETs, teachers that are all coming in now and contacting us in the most loving way they can, because we're hiding behind our shroud of fear. And so really, all our free will choices is that when life hands us certain conditions, like the waves, what will you choose? What way will you choose? Love or fear? The ocean sends us conditions. That's the one wave energy field. And then All we have control over is the energy that we respond to it with. And we can meet it with and manage the conditions from a level of consciousness, being awake, which just equates to love. And knowing that so many of these waves, especially as we just turn the lights on, as we just start beginning to feel our inner selves, a lot of these waves are unconscious. But so all we have to do is meet them with consciousness. And our job on earth literally is to face every wave, field, every situation with love till we fully embody the consciousness of love. And we're living that out through time and space, because most of us aren't in a place where our minds could be transformed overnight. It would be too much for us in this moment. I think there is going to be a moment soon where love is just going to like stack upon itself, and like it's just like it is going to be instantaneous. But I think we're still kind of navigating a lot of bigger fears, bigger categories as a collective. You know, we just kind of began to transmute the fear of that we can't heal ourselves. We're just starting to transmute all these ways in life that we gave our power away, that we need, certain structures, certain medical institutions, certain insurances, all these things we think we need, but really all come from fear. We employ these organizations, these energies a lot of time out of fear. So all we have to do is fully embody the consciousness of love, at which point we will have lived out all the unconscious guilt situations and realized it was never real, because we finally lived it out in time and space. And then we're back with God, because we literally just get to a point where like we're feeling our spirit selves, we're in our bodies and we're not in our bodies, and we're outside of time and space, which is what a lot of energy workers experience, a lot of people experience when they go into meditation. They leave it because we can access God consciousness right now, but we just have these intrusive thoughts that were from unconsciousness that we now have to meet these new energies, these old unconscious energies. We just have to meet them with love. And because love is more powerful than fear, it will always find a way to, you'll duck dive the wave, you'll meet it over it. Sometimes it'll be messy, you'll hit the wave, it might hit you back, but then you'll get over it. No matter what, the wave will pass and you will get past it eventually when you're employing the right tools. So if you paddle out in big surf and you don't know how to time it, you don't know how to duck dive, you don't know what the right board is, you're going to get kicked back to shore. That's the equivalent of meeting a problem with an unloving consciousness, or maybe it's just not quite fully loving. But if you have love as a tool, you will make it out past the break. LOL, surfing, quantum physics, it's all connected. So surfing is so part of what surfing is physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. It's the physical act of being present in between the moment where a reality has begun to be created and the potential reality that is to come. So when we surf, a lot of people notice that you have to be really present in the moment. And the only thing that blocks us from meeting these ways of unconsciousness with love is when we're unconscious too. And so a lot of times we're not present. That's what this reality has taught us. Another shade for the guilt. If we're never present, we never feel that unconscious guilt. So we shop, so we work, so we take care of our kids all the time. So we focus our time, energy, and attention outward on politics, on anything that you're constantly giving your time to. And focus, especially if it's not loving, that is us not being present in the moment. But someone who's present in the moment, they're the ones who can navigate the wave, the moment in between manifestation and already manifested reality and potential created reality. And they can take that moment and they can make it down the drop, they can make it down the wave, they can ride the wave however they want to. They don't have to fall, they don't have to drown, because they're conscious and they can see the path and they're applying love. So they're practicing that presence, but the first step is to be present. Then the second step is to apply love. So if you're not even present, then you're just going to keep creating, like your field is going to be disorganized and you're going to keep creating. And then disorganized field means disorganized field, which equals chaos. Think of like when you have like a backsplash wave and then it's like chaos, right? You didn't make it out. It was like, and those can be really weird and powerful too. So, okay. So that's surfing, and that's when you're surfing wave presence. So because the God consciousness is always available to us, we just have to focus on it and choose it. That's all we have to do. We have to choose that no matter what situation comes in life, our parents died, our friends addicted, our our job was, we were fired from our jobs. We just have to focus on the silver lining. We have to focus on, if it's happening, it must be happening in the highest good. And we just have to choose that, and we just have to trust, which is really, you only need trust when you're in separation, because if you weren't in separation, if you weren't in time and space, you would inherently know to trust. So time and space disappear because fields and experiences and such no longer have a purpose. So when there's no more unconsciousness left to meet with love, it's all just love. And there's just no need for time and space anymore, because all the quantum particles have harmonized, and they're back in the state of highest frequency vibratory form. Whereas when there's unconscious guilt, it actually, or unconscious energy, or a fearful, that energy is actually attracted to love because it wants to be transmuted, because everything is always trying to go back to the light. That's why fears and things and all come up for us, because we're always gently and kindly being pushed back to the light. And so you can think of when people speak in near-death experiences, how they go to the other side and they don't want to come back to Earth because they're back in love. That is the same consciousness that we can manifest on Earth through our own discipline, through our own willingness to face our fears, our challenges, to move through them with trust, using our resources, our friends, our family, any loving tool we have. We will always be able to move through it, and then we will be more and more in states of peace till eventually we're constantly in states of peace. And once you're in a state of peace, like the near-death experiences, you'll think, why would I ever go back to Earth? I have everything I need here. I'm not curious. I don't want to feel those feelings. I'm good on all that stuff. All right. Okay, so that is it. 3606, we covered the latest quantum download from the course, from conversations with friends, from my own inner guidance. And so, we have to use our free will at this time to create out of love, to create beautiful lives, to make this place heaven on earth. And I know you're all doing that. All right. And so I'm going to end this video here, and then another sneak peek for another video that's coming up. And this is just something I want you guys to think about, and I will share it because at the end of this download, which I furiously wrote on paper to make sure I captured it appropriately before I made this video, because I know I sometimes get unfocused. So here is something else that came through, and I'm not trying to trigger anyone, but it's the whole flat earth, round earth thing, and that's been coming up a lot for me lately. I am not specifically in either camp. It's an area where I haven't ever gotten clear guidance until tonight, so I'm just going to share what I saw in my inner consciousness tonight. What I saw is that the earth is both flat and round, and that the nature of this reality, at least from the level of consciousness I'm at, is that the whole solar system and all the planets, the round circle of a planet, they're actually portals of energy. So there isn't really maybe there is a physical surface, but the way I'm seeing it is surfaces are actually they're not even gaseous, because it's just a portal to a place. So the image I got in my mind was in Super Mario, when Mario goes into this castle and then he enters the different worlds by jumping through the picture. And so what I got is that Earth, Saturn, Venus, all these planets, they appear round because the portal is round. So yeah, I don't even think there's really a surface. So I'm starting to feel like the moon landings, I hate saying this stuff. I don't like to take hard stances on anything physical because it just doesn't feel that important. But I'm going to say the moon landings didn't really happen because there is no surfaces to land on. They're just physical representation of energetic portals that will take you to the Mars planet, or to the Saturn planet, or inside the moon. So when they talk about inner Earth, they're actually just talking about when you go through the portal to Earth. And so I think, yeah, there are layers to Earth, like caves and all that stuff. But inner Earth would be once you're through the portal, and then outer Earth is just like the portal representation of it. And so that's what planets really are, is they're just portals. And I think you can think of it too, because we're also stars. Like, we're like, just like a star, we have 5 points. And I don't know how stars work in space, but that was a download I got today too. And so we're like the physical representation of a star, but we're also the energy of it. And so I see that with planets too. Like, they're the physical representation of a planet, which is the sphere, the plane, the playing field. A plane it's like a playing field. It's the video game level we incarnate into. But then there is the energetic representation of it, which is the sphere, which is the portal. So yeah. So that was a download I got. Let me know what you think about that. I am open to hearing all opinions, and I love just discussing this stuff with you guys and sharing my wacky and insane thoughts that I just really believe to be true. So anyway, I hope that you are surfing waves of light in your own life. I hope that this video brought you a quantum understanding of why our free will choice is to choose love, and that you have a great and happy evening. I love you all so much, and I'll see you again in the next video. Okay, bye.